This is the most expensive weapons program in human history, and it might already be outdated. The F-35 Lightning II, with a lifetime cost now exceeding $2 trillion, was built around a single, revolutionary idea. That stealth aircraft could become nearly invisible to radar. But today, from quantum physics labs in China to the battlefields of Ukraine, that idea faces challenges from every direction. And the scientists at DARPA, the people who would know best, now openly say the stealth era may be coming to a close. Stealth doesn't make you invisible, it just makes you harder to find. To understand why that distinction matters more than ever, we need to start with how stealth actually works. Because it's not magic, it's geometry and chemistry. When a radar station sends out a pulse of radio energy, it's essentially shining a flashlight into the dark and waiting for something to reflect back. A conventional aircraft covered in flat metal panels, curved engine intakes, and angular tail fins bounces that energy right back to the radar like a mirror. A stealth aircraft doesn't. Its surfaces are made of planar shapes, angled precisely so that when radar energy hits them, it reflects away from the source, scattering in dozens of directions that aren't back toward the radar station. On top of that, the hull gets coated in radar-absorbing materials that dampen whatever energy isn't deflected. The result is almost absurd. An F-22 Raptor, a 64-foot-long twin-engine fighter, can have a radar cross-section smaller than a marble. On a radar screen, it barely exists. This concept has dominated air combat doctrine for over 4 decades. The F-117 Nighthawk became the world's first operational stealth aircraft in 1983. And when it flew in combat during the Gulf War in 1991, the results were staggering. Stealth aircraft could penetrate defended airspace with near impunity. As USC professor Peter Westwick put it, stealth represented a swing, and a long-lasting swing at that, to the offense having the advantage. The invisibility was never total, but the delay it brought was decisive. And then, on March the 27th, 1999, that advantage began to erode. Over the skies of Serbia during the Kosovo War, Colonel Zoltan Dani commanded the 3rd Battery of the 250th Missile Brigade. He operated an S-125, a Soviet-era surface-to-air missile system designed in the 1960s. On paper, it had no business threatening a stealth aircraft. But Dani had spent years studying the F-117. As he later said, "I concluded that there are no invisible aircraft but only less visible." His system scanned for the F-117 twice and found nothing. Standard doctrine said stop there. Dani ordered a 3rd sweep. This time, 2 F-117 appeared on his screen. He fired 2 missiles. One struck the aircraft flown by Lieutenant Colonel Dale Zelko, who ejected and survived. It was the first time a stealth aircraft had ever been shot down. The margin was razor thin. By every technical analysis, it was a combination of skill, preparation, and sheer luck. Dani's own account describes detection windows measured in seconds, not minutes. If Zelko had flown a slightly different bearing, the missile couldn't have reached him. But the wreckage told a bigger story. Russian officials later confirmed they examined the downed F-117's remains. China reportedly purchased parts as well. That debris contributed to the development of Russia's Su-57 fighter and China's J-20. And it catalyzed something even more significant: a global race to build counter-stealth technology. After the 1999 shootdown, Russia began rethinking its entire air defense doctrine. The result, years later, was the NEBO-M radar system, a complex that operates across multiple frequency bands, including VHF, L-band, and S-band. It feeds targeting data directly to systems like the S-400 Triumph. And this matters because every stealth aircraft flying today was primarily designed to defeat X-band radar. When you shift to longer wavelengths, something fundamental changes. A radar operating in the VHF band produces wavelengths comparable in size to the aircraft itself, creating resonance effects that dramatically increase detectability. An aircraft with a radar cross-section the size of a marble in X-band can balloon by 1 to 3 orders of magnitude in VHF. That marble becomes a beach ball. Russian state media claims the NEBO-M can, quote, See F-22, F-35, and so on perfectly well. That's almost certainly overstated. Defense analysts note that detection accuracy in meter-band radar is relatively low. You might know something is out there, without knowing precisely where. But here's the uncomfortable truth. You don't need perfect detection, you just need enough to complete the kill chain. Even imprecise detection degrades the entire stealth advantage. China has developed similar systems, including the JY-27A radar specifically designed for counter-stealth operations. And if you're enjoying this deep dive into the quiet collapse of air dominance, consider subscribing to Vault Media. It's how we keep digging into these stories. Here's what makes the current moment different from 1999, though. It's not one counter-stealth technology, it's 5 or 6, converging at once. Start with infrared. An F-22 at supercruise, sustaining Mach 1.5 without afterburner, generates significant aerodynamic heating from friction alone. Its exhaust plume, even with cooled nozzles, radiates infrared energy that stands out against the cold upper atmosphere like a bonfire in a dark field. Its radar cross-section may be smaller than a marble, but its infrared signature is enormous. No single sensor needs to see the aircraft anymore. The network does. Modern IRST systems, infrared search and track, have evolved from a curiosity on Soviet MiG-29s in the 1980s into what many consider the most credible passive counter-stealth technology in service today. They don't emit anything, they just watch. And stealth aircraft cannot hide their heat. Then there's passive radar, which might be the most elegant threat of all. In August 2024, a research team led by Professor Yi Jianxin at Wuhan University published a remarkable finding. They used signals from Starlink satellites, which blanket the Earth in constant radio emissions, to detect a DJI Phantom 4 Pro drone. That drone was chosen deliberately because its radar cross-section approximates that of an F-22. The team demonstrated that a stealth object passing through Starlink radiation casts a detectable shadow, using forward scatter radar principles. And they described the method as, quote, unaffected by the target's three-dimensional shape and surface material. Think about what that means. Every dollar spent on radar-absorbing coatings, every carefully angled surface panel, rendered irrelevant by a constellation of commercial internet satellites. Add artificial intelligence to the mix and things get worse for stealth. Machine learning algorithms can now optimize radar waveforms in real time, adjusting frequency, amplitude, and modulation to exploit specific vulnerabilities in stealth designs. Networked sensor arrays can share data, correlating weak returns from multiple angles to build a picture no single radar could assemble alone. China, the United States, and Israel are all pouring money into these systems. And then there's quantum sensing, still emerging, but potentially existential for the entire stealth paradigm. In June 2025, DARPA's Deputy Director Rob McHenry stated that quantum sensing is transitioning, quote, from a science to an engineering discipline. His warning was blunt. If you emit a kilowatt of energy, you're going to be seen and you're going to be engaged. China claims to have begun mass-producing single-photon detectors for quantum radar, though significant skepticism remains. MIT professor Jeffrey Shapiro has said flatly, "There's just a lot of problems that make it hard for me to believe that this system is going to be of any use." French radar specialist Fabrice Baust was even more pointed. "I am convinced that when China announced their quantum radar, it was not working." So, is stealth dead? Not yet. Retired Lieutenant General David Deptula makes a critical point often lost in these discussions. Detection is but one element of a series of actions that must be taken to defend against stealth. After detecting a stealth aircraft, you must track it. Then transfer the track to an interceptor. Then guide a weapon to it. Then fuse that weapon properly. Stealth complicates every single link in that kill chain, not just the first one. Stealth isn't disappearing. But it's no longer enough on its own, and the Pentagon is still investing billions. The B-21 Raider program alone is estimated at over $130 billion across its lifetime. The new F-47 sixth-generation fighter, awarded to Boeing in March 2025, carries an initial development contract worth approximately $20 billion, with the Air Force planning to field at least 185 aircraft. These 6th-generation platforms will incorporate stealth, but they'll also rely on electronic warfare, cyber capabilities, and networked operations in ways previous generations never did. The real lesson may be the one written in the unlikely friendship between Zoltan Dani and Dale Zelko. After the shootdown, the two former enemies exchanged letters for years before finally meeting in 2011, sharing coffee and apple strudel with each other's families. Dani retired as a colonel and opened a bakery in southern Serbia. The man who proved stealth wasn't invincible went on to bake bread. The offense-defense balance in warfare never stays fixed. Stealth tilted that balance dramatically toward the attacker for 40 years. Now, slowly but unmistakably, the pendulum is swinging back. The question isn't whether stealth will become obsolete, it's whether the systems replacing it can keep the people flying those missions alive. Thank you for watching. Genuinely, the fact that you stayed with this one all the way to the end means more than you probably realize. If there's a story you think we should tell next, drop it in the comments. We read every single one. Until next time.